My name's Andy Singleton and this is A World of Good. So the exhibition is called A World of Good. That phrase comes from a letter that Charles Waterton wrote where he detailed his concerns about the environmental damage that the Industrial Revolution was having on the countryside. Charles Waterton was a really interesting person. He created a nature reserve, the first in the world, in his grounds in Walton in Wakefield, and the exhibition that we're doing with Wakefield Museum is looking at his letters and his concerns and trying to interpret that into the modern day. I've been producing a lot of sculptures made from paper. The sculptures are based on Charles Waterton's letters. Some of them are natural things like trees and birds and rivers, and some of them are more industrial things that were destroying the environment, factories or hunting parties. So there's people like David Attenborough, Chris Packham, Michael Palin
and Liz Bonin,
who've all recorded audio segments and sections of the letters and talking about how they relate to today's problems with the environment as well. So it's a multi-sensory installation. So the way we approached the space was to section it up using plinths. Each plinth would have an installation on, and that installation would relate to one of the letters. So we have a small model installation in the middle that's scaled down, and then there's other areas where the scale changes again. On two of the walls there's a projection animation by Charlotte Blacker that relates to the exhibition as well, and that complemented the installation that I made. So we tried to make it interact with some of the sculptures, so some of the animation kind of sits on top of the sculpture. It sort of works as one thing, which is really interesting, and that's something new to the way I've worked in the past.
Andy came up with some designs, and I then took those designs and chopped them up in the computer using After Effects. So he gave me, for example, one picture of a bird, and then I would take the wings from the bird and create some different beaks to show singing, and rig it up almost so it's got like a skeleton inside that you can't see. And then that just creates a kind of flexibility that enables me to get certain expressions from the bird and various movements. The other interesting thing about this project is working with a soundscape, and it's a pleasure to work on a project that is based around conservation. It's something that I feel very passionately about.
The visual style of the work comes from my background in making commercial projects like illustrations and installations for shop windows and things like that. It also comes from my interest in nature, the observations that I make for things like the texture of trees and the way birds look. So it's kind of the merging of those two things. A lot of the sculptures are handmade, and the technique I use is cutting, scoring and folding to make these. So I'm using a scalpel to cut out the shapes, and then I'm scoring the detail into them and folding them out and then layering them up. So if I'm making a bird, I'll get like the rough outline of the bird in some supporting material, and then I'll start adding layers to that are scored and folded, and it produces this 3D effect. The other way I've worked for this exhibition with some of the more repetitive things like the leaves or the wall, which has loads and loads of little bricks cut out of it, is I used a machine that I have in my studio that can cut paper. I can make that design by hand, but then through Photoshop I can replicate things like brickwork in multiple, and that's kind of just saves me from doing the repetitive tasks that I would have done in the past by hand, and leaves me more time to develop the more artistic side like the birds and things like that. Everything that I've made can be recycled, and I think that fits in nicely with the theme of the exhibition. Quite a powerful experience for people. Hopefully it'll be a positive experience as well. I think one of the things about the exhibition is that it is highlighting these issues that we face because of the industrialisation of the world, but also there's a positive side, and there is action that we can take as a collective and help preserve what we've got.